let's start with prepare new plant and equipment. We want to ask ourselves, have we prepared new plant and equipment? And do we have a capital light asset model? So here's where it gets interesting. The most significant way that SMEs benefit from the external resources, right, is to plug in tangible resources and license intellectual property, right? Basically, the small businesses can't compete with the larger businesses when it comes to producing products, right? They don't have the capital, but what they can do is go out to external sources like universities and research bodies, and they can license, so they don't have to own the assets. In plain terms, these SMBs can't compete with large companies because large investments in capital are often required. But nowadays, capital equipment isn't the barrier to entry it once was, right? Think back when I was working at Rip Curl, right? My first job was IT network support engineer, okay? At Rip Curl, we used to have a huge server room. There was a server for email, a server for web, a server for CRM and ERP, and we had to pay them IBM and Lotus Notes to come down and put in the new servers all the time, right? We had to manage them. Now you just pay a monthly subscription and you rent a tiny piece of Microsoft or Amazon Web Services, and this enables you to play bigger and compete against larger companies. So it's the access to assets. It's not the ownership of the assets that matters nowadays. Alibaba is the most valuable retailer, yet they own no inventory. Uber's the largest taxi company in the world, yet they own no fleet of vehicles. Airbnb, they're the largest accommodation provider, and yet they own no real estate. So what does this tell us? It says that access to these assets, not ownership, matters. And capital light asset models should be pursued at all costs. In fact, if you finish the Newledge program and all you take away is how to remove job executors and how to go more direct to the beneficiary and to set up capital light asset models, you'll dominate wherever you work, right? And you'll probably end up starting your own company once you see how all of this is done. So to be effective, it's recommended to look for access to assets versus investing in ownership of assets. This comes in handy when we applied it to firms in the early stage of innovation implementation, right? These small SMEs doing great things. That's why they use CSIRO, right? The value that CSIRO brought to the table wasn't in innovation. It was actually just licensing their expensive production process and capital equipment that we pay for with our tax money, right? That's how basically it worked.